Good Monday morning, everyone. I hope everybody's having a great start to their work week. I am Dan Kopp. I'm coming to you live from Madison, Wisconsin, and joining me, like always, is Ty Firsching. Good morning, Ty.
Morning, Dan. Thank you very much. As Dan said, I am Ty Firsching, and I'm coming to you this time from Uganda. Last week, if you missed, I was in Nairobi, so I'm doing my East Africa trip. Lovely time. Anyway, I'm so excited about talking about King Arthur and leading like him. It's going to be awesome.
Right on. I'm glad to see you today. As I've told you people in the past, at times, Ty encounters some Wi-Fi power connectivity issues, and he may, A, not appear, but he's here today, or B, have to drop off and hopefully come back in the middle of a broadcast just because of the issues that come in with living in a developing country like he does. So before I get into today's topic, I would like to remind you, we are working on a project called Enhanced Leadership, and we have a YouTube channel. All the videos you're seeing right now can be found on our YouTube channel called Enhanced Leadership. And we are also live on LinkedIn, as you're aware. If you're joining us live, feel free to drop some comments into the chat box. We'll answer any and all questions live on air if we are able to. If not, we'll follow up the following week. And we are here to help. If you ever need leadership assistance or just assistance in general, our emails are at the bottom of the screen, dan@leadingbuffalo.com and ty@tradesecrets.com. Our mission is to help other leaders, and we will do that any way we can. I'd be remiss if I didn't throw up our title page that I neglected to have on when we first started today. Today, we are going to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It's called Leading Like King Arthur. It is one of the tenets you can find in my book, The Power of Me Leadership, 9 Leadership Tenets for Every Leader. And it is one of my favorite tenets to discuss because I have grown immensely by leading like King Arthur. So, without further ado, let's delve into it. When I first started giving this a name, I put it into a book. My first book came on the market a couple years ago, and I had some people in my network say, I had them read the transcripts before I published the books, giving me some feedback. And one of my colleagues, who was a superintendent at the time, replied, "Boy, I didn't know where you were going with that lead like King Arthur thing, but I love it." So let's talk about what it is. Leading like King Arthur, for many of you, you know the legend that is King Arthur. Side note, I'm not sure if King Arthur was an actual person or not. The jury's out. It could be one specific person from way back in the day in England, or it could be a sort of a mixture of various leaders, and it turned into this legend / myth we know as King Arthur. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and that's where the title of this tenet comes from. King Arthur embraced his trusted advisors. I think of Lancelot, Galahad, Sir Gawain. There were various advisors that were in the Knights of the Round Table legend, and they met around a round table. Figuratively or literally, I don't know. I do know, and every time I've had some type of leadership team and I've sort of inherited a conference room with a conference table, I always wish that it was big enough or large enough that it could accommodate a large round table versus your typical oblong or rectangular tables that you find in conference rooms. Anyway, it's not about the table. It's about the concept of embracing those around you. When you lead like King Arthur, you turn to your trusted advisors for input. When you do that, various things are going to happen. First of all, when you discuss a topic in front of you that you may already have an answer for, you don't know if it's the best answer until you vet it. I personally would much rather go to my trusted advisor and say, "Hey, team, this is what I'm thinking. What do you guys think?" And if they pull apart my decision or help me modify it a bit, or just tell me I was wrong, I would much rather have that occur on the front end before I implement or before I go live with a decision than afterwards when I did something that I thought was right and I was totally wrong, because that has happened. So even if it is your decision to make, and it's a conceptually a top-down unilateral decision, and you want to implement something or you want to do something, you want to react to something, your trusted advisors may be able to guide you down a different path. that you may have not considered. When you do that, you're going to get points of view from hopefully a diverse group. So when you're building a team, if you've got the luxury of building your own team, and at times a CEO level person comes in and they inherit their leadership team, correct? It's happened to me. But when you have the luxury of creating your own team, or you're replacing people as they transition out, and you have the ability to hire new, think big picture and think diversity, because the more diverse your team is, the more diverse the thought process is. And I'm not talking just race. I'm talking race, ethnicity, gender, sexual preference, age, the amount of time in the position you're in, whether you're a veteran leader or not so veteran leader, maybe time in the organization itself versus someone who's newer to the organization. Everything that you can imagine that could make someone different from someone else, that's what you want to embrace, because when you have a diverse group of trusted advisors, you're going to have better answers in the outcome. Also, when you talk through issues, and maybe it's a group decision and you're using the democratic process and it's a decision that you need to collectively make, even though you may be the voice of it, your decision is going to be better because you're getting all these different points of view. I will be the first one to tell you I'm not the best leader and I don't know everything. I know some things. I know how to get answers. I know how to lead, but I'm better because of the concept of leading like King Arthur, because I have grown as a leader, leading others who have different skill sets than I have or who are better leaders than I am. I've grown because of it. So you're looking for diversity on your team. Again, diversity in the big picture, worldview, what diversity actually means. You're looking for acceptance of everybody's opinion, and it's got to be a safe zone so people can share their opinions, even if it's directly contradictory to what you're saying. And you're looking to grow at the same time they're growing. Even if it is your decision to make and yours alone, and you're the only voice people are going to hear, your decisions have an increased chance of being better than not if you engage your teammates and your trusted advisors. So even if you're a solopreneur and you've got a colleague who's in a similar situation, or you're an entrepreneur and you've got one or two employees, embrace their voices. You have them as employees for a reason. They've got points of view that may inform yours, and it may help you be a better version of whatever you are in your company and a better version of you. So that was a lot. Ty, do you have any thoughts?
It's funny because we've been talking about lead like King Arthur for as long as we've reconnected, the past few years. And it just dawned on me that when I was director of the Volunteer Clearinghouse, the volunteer placement service for the University of Colorado, I created a club roundtable. And I never put the two and two together. I did. I knew what it was, but I had forgotten that I had done that because, it was one of these little things that I thought was little at the time. And you said the table doesn't matter. And when you said that, I go, yes, it does. And I'll tell you why. Because when I created it, I went into the conference room. We're going to have this. And what it was is to get all the clubs together. And since mine was like kind of I disseminated information about clubs and organizations in the Boulder community for people to volunteer. Okay, so on campus, we had all these clubs, and not everybody knew about every club. And so I gave an invitation to the clubs. I go, look, we want to start creating a club roundtable where we discuss the community of the college atmosphere, what we can do, what we can't do. You're more than welcome to come. Please sign up. So I had people come, and I forget, like 19, 20 people when I first started. There's way more many clubs. And I went to go look at the room, and it wasn't a round table. And he goes, well, what did you expect? I go, but the name of the group is Round Table, Club Round Table. I need a round table. And the dean of students is looking at me. He's like, you're serious? I go, I am. He goes, what are you going, King Arthur on us? And I just all flashed back when you were talking, Dan. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I am. I go, but I need one. He goes, let's see what we can do. He found a round table, and it was in a different part of the campus is where they had higher level meetings and stuff like that. But I got to use it because of the importance of this. And the dean of students was part of it. The police chief was part of it. All these different things that dealt with the community. and the clubs and the people. And it was wonderful because we had diversity, and the roundness of the table, right, made sure everybody was positioned at the same, I mean, all facing the center, right? So everybody had that equality there, and it gave this personal state to everyone. I was thinking about, man, thank you for having this. This was great. I really felt like my opinion mattered. I go, well, it's because of the round table. And me being a math guy, I was like, well, let me explain to you. And they're like, oh, be quiet, like that. But I go, no, seriousness, it was intent of the round table to have that feeling, that personal state that everybody had an equal opinion, no matter what it was or who they were or where they came from or what club they were representing. So it does matter to me because I experienced it and I got feedback directly about it. So if you can get a round table, do it. So.
Love it. I appreciate everything Ty just said. I'm going to tweak one part just to make it a little bit broader. So when conceptually, if you're at a table, round or otherwise,
right.
Some people get, Ty used the word, everybody's got an equal voice. Or an equal opinion. That's true. But it's more about hearing their voice and let it inform you as the decision maker, perhaps, versus creating a true democracy. So don't assume that we're advocating that you put it to the masses and then you've got a leadership team of 9 and majority wins on what you're going to do. No, you've got 8 other people around your table who are going to have an equal voice. It doesn't mean their voice outweighs yours or the collective good if you think they're just wrong. So
right.
It's not that here's an average of what we did. It could be, that could be the right answer, but by default, it's not defined that way. It's about embracing those around you. The round table definitely lends itself to that because although the voices may not be equal, the equity is there, the equality is there, and we're all equals in here, and we're all sharing our ideas. Even if it's mine to make, I want to hear your voice, and it sends a powerful message when you have eye-to-eye contact with everybody around that room.
Yeah, and to add on to that, it wasn't that it was like equal voice, like you said. We all understand that as leaders, but it was the fact that it gave them the feeling that what they had to say was they were more open to speaking.
Absolutely.
Because they were all, and there was no power position at the table.
Right.
Okay, like the head of the table. No, it was so it gave them that confidence. So it gave some of the confidence to speak up where they would not have probably done it as much or at all before because of just the environment in there. And we had talked about in that area is like, look, we're here to share our ideas and to come to consensus what's best for the students, what's best for the campus, like that. And everybody understood that. Yeah. The final decision was, even though it was a culminating suggestion, right, of everybody coming together, the final decision was based on other factors as well. So.
Right. And I love the way you described that. So you as a leader, if you're the person who is in charge of said meeting, you've got to make people understand going in. I'm embracing your voice. It doesn't mean what you say is going to dictate what I do, but it's going to inform what we do. And you have to have an open relationship so people understand. The idea is we all have a voice here and we're all going to respect each other's voice. Then we'll either make a collective decision based on everybody's voice, or I will take it all into advisement and make the best decision I think is possible based on your input. So you've got to lay the groundwork. That's a different part of leadership. We're straying a little bit from where I thought we would be going today. But that's necessary. You lay the groundwork. If I'm asking my trusted advisors for their opinion, they need to know, I just need your opinion on what I'm about to do. It doesn't mean I want you to tell me what to do. So if that's what you want, you can tell them that, but you just got to be clear as a leader of that meeting or that group, what you expect from them and how it's going to affect the overall result. Right. Also, I love you referred to the head of the table, the power position. I was speaking this past weekend at a conference, and I said, all right, your actions speak for themselves. You don't have to tell people that you're in charge. If you have to tell people you're in charge, you've got a problem. So, and I said, here's a prime example. If you host meetings and you've got a rectangular table, you don't have to sit at the head. I said, I can remember sitting at the head of the table twice in my career, and I was uncomfortable. Well, let me rephrase that. Once, And I was transitioning into an organization, and the previous leader was transitioning out. And I arrived at the appointed time, and they were already seated, and they left the head of the table open for me. During said meeting, I told the people I was inheriting on my leadership team, this will be the first and last time that you will see me sitting at the head of the table. I couldn't control this because I wasn't the first one in here today, but it won't happen again. And in 10 years, I never sat at the head of the table again. I didn't need to be at the head to be the person in charge in the room, and people knew that. Also, the person who is at the head of the table is treated as an equal. If it's one of my teammates and they're all colleagues and they're all at the same level of the organizational chart, they know it's just about equality, and we're here to listen. And that person who happens to be at the head of the table today doesn't mean that person's actually in charge. It's just a place to sit. So keep that in mind as a leader when you do host a meeting. By default, you don't have to sit at the head of the table. Feel free, if that's your comfort zone, knock yourself out. It's just not my comfort zone. I never liked it. I can be in charge from a corner of the table. I don't need to be in charge at the head of the table.
Yeah, that's great advice, because so many times people get hooked up on the position, the power position, and although that has a place in leadership, sometimes it's not always, in my experience, it's not as prominent as we think it is anymore, because
Right.
at least in the way I lead, and you lead too, that whole equal voice, although we're going to make the decision based on the best possible information at the time. So we have to use some active discernment when we're making the final decision, but at least we get everybody's input. And that's what's important. What's bad is when you have a leader, and I think we talked about this, when we have a leader that's already made up their mind, and then they're doing this mock round table just to say, oh, well, I got everybody's opinion, but I'm already, my decision's already made. And when that's happening, when politics are coming down from wherever, come from above, and they have to make that decision anyway, but they wanted to placate everyone, saying that, oh, well, we do this. Once you do that and people find out, the round table will never have the same effect again.
Right.
Like King Arthur will never have the same effect again, because they're going to say, oh, well, there's Ty. He already made up his mind. He's just having us get our opinion, so we may feel like someone, like that. And don't do that. If you can, by all means, get out of doing that, then don't do that at all, because you need to have everybody's opinion and be authentic in it.
You're right, and I'm aware of a board of an organization that their policy said you need to get stakeholder input when you're making a certain decision. So, all right, we got to follow our policy. They asked the senior leaders for input. They then turned around and made the decision. I know for a fact the senior leaders still have the input because the board never asked for it once they had their meeting. We got our input ready, and they just made a decision without actually looking at our input because I still have it in my hand. So people see that and see it for what it is. You're just going through the motions, whether it's a top-down thing or I'm the decision maker. Hey, Ty, I want your input, and then I mute you for a while. Oh, you're done. Thanks for your help. I'm going to go make my decision now.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Right on. All right, people. We challenge you to lead like King Arthur. You've got to put the ego to the side. Admit that you aren't the creme de la creme of all leadership and knowledge, and that your people have valuable input that are going to the input will make you a better leader, better human being, and your organization will be better off for it. So embrace the concept of leading like King Arthur. Ty, any last thoughts about King Arthur?
No, except I do like King Arthur, and whether he was real or not, the lore and the ambiance that legend brings, it transcends generations, because it's been around for generations if you think about it. So I really think it's great to embody something that, whether it can be proven or not, it's still valid in a leadership capacity.
Right on. Well, that's it for this week. We thank you for tuning in. Again, you can find us on our YouTube channel, Enhanced Leadership. You can also reach out to us directly via DM on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with us. Also, jump on our profile pages on LinkedIn. Across from our profile pictures, there's a little bell icon. Feel free to hit that. You can follow our content. And if you're watching replays of this and you have questions, feel free to drop some comments in the box and or contact us directly, again, via DM on LinkedIn, or you can email us at the bottom. Our email's at the bottom of the screen, dan@leadingbuffalo.com and Tide at Trade Secrets. We're going to continue to come to you live weekly, assuming we don't have technical difficulties or life get in the way. We'll come to you live weekly, and we're going to continue on this journey of becoming enhanced leaders. So peace out from Madison, Wisconsin. Here we are talking enhanced leadership. This is Simply Leadership, and all of you can do it. Good luck.
Take care.